you for taking my call.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us. You know, Jamie, there's been lots of talk about the repeal and replacement of this disaster called Obamacare. The Democrats are already talking about the 22 million people that will lose coverage. And we all know there is no such thing as free health care. Somebody has to pay. I'm kind of on the other side. I lost my doctor. My premiums were doubled. My wife and I, just the two of us, pay $1,400 a month out of pocket for a crummy health care plan that's $16,800 a year with a high deductible. So when we go to the doctor, I still pay out of pocket.
Yep.
I'm a small business owner. I have 18 employees. I also pay 80% of my employees' health care, which, you know, I just feel, you know, compelled that I want to do that, but it's very expensive. So I guess my question is, what is in this new bill that will give relief to the tens of millions of people that are actually paying the bills? We want to keep, you know, our elderly are on Medicare. We want to cover our disabled children that need help. What about all the illegals? What about the fraud that is in our system? Is there anything that can be done to bring all this in? So, of course, we talked about crossing state lines and competition, but I would just like to know your take or what conversation you have heard to this point, because I have heard nothing about the real disaster of why Obamacare is not working. Is it's too expensive, especially for the people that are actually paying, and how many average Americans out there could pay their mortgage or their rent and still write a check every month for $1,400 just for a crummy healthcare plan that really doesn't cover anything.
You said it so much better than I ever could. That is exactly why we have to repeal and replace this bill, period. I hear, and for those of you who are listening, I hear this story repeated over and over and over throughout our district almost daily. You know, I oftentimes, the people who want to raise concerns are the people who disagree with me. So I've had a lot of people saying, you know, we don't want you to repeal Obamacare and it's going to be a disaster. And I usually come back and say, the problem is if we leave it as it is a crumbling wall. It works for it breaks for everybody. And you said it. This is where I've had so many people share with me, you know, they may have had insurance before, but now their premiums are through the roof. The deductible is so high, they may as well not have health coverage. They can't get in to see doctors. On and on and on. And you're a small business owner, which means you're really bearing the brunt of it. There are very few benefits for you to offer health care for your employees, but you're doing it anyway because it's a good thing to do. And I applaud you for that. So that's one of the reasons I'm continuing to fight on this, both in the House and bring it before my colleagues in the Senate. We can and have to do better. Whether it's purchasing health insurance across state lines actually helps a lot in the individual market. So I assume you're not self-insured. Are you doing it in an individual market? How are you purchasing? Is it a small group? Are you using an association?
Yeah. I'm in a group plan. Yeah.
So that's another thing. So I had an amendment that passed the House. If we could get it into the Senate, would help bring relief in this area for small business owners. Right now in Washington State, you can be a part of an association. Limited. It's very difficult to do, but you can be a part of an association, and it's a so-so outcome. That's another area where if we allow people, if we break down across state line barriers and allow associations across the nation to negotiate and get better plans, the pooling power, so big corporations do this, unions do it, but our small businesses can't. And that is pool their influence. For example, take a florist association, you know, Cut Flowers Association. And if you allow their national association, which would bring to bear, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses across the nation, their ability to require an insurance company to offer competitive products would go through the roof. So I support allowing and strengthening association health plans across state lines. I also think, you know, one of the problems we have right now, some of them are regulatory issues within Obamacare. So, for example, you know, everybody believes that if you have a pre-existing condition, you shouldn't be discriminated against. I'm one of those. I think that's right. But on the flip side of that, you can't allow someone not to have insurance and live life willy-nilly and be irresponsible, and then when they get sick, go and purchase insurance, which is what right now, the way Obamacare is set up, it allows people to game the system. So people can wait until after they've had a major illness and go back and apply for and get health coverage. And that's not fair to the rest of us who are paying into the system. One of the things this bill did do that I like is it closes those loopholes. It says, you have to maintain coverage, or you can't just jump on when you have a problem, which is what happened. We all do this right now with auto insurance. You can't wait until you get into a car accident to purchase auto insurance, right? You can't wait until someone dies to purchase life insurance. And simply by requiring people to get and maintain coverage, if they want to be covered, is going to bring some stability and decrease costs for everybody. And that is one of the provisions in the bill that I do like and do support. So I think that's another piece to lowering costs. But overall, I think that part of the way Obamacare was set up was, and we've seen this trickle in certain counties across the nation, there are no insurers because it's just too difficult to operate. Pretty soon we will be down to one or no insurers in many of our counties. I've seen this happen in a few of my counties. And that essentially means that the government's going to have to step in and offer single payer, which I don't support. But I feel like that was kind of part of the overall goal of Obamacare, is becoming so onerous, people are stopping offering their coverage, and eventually there's going to be no options left. We need to rehab the commercial market so that people can have options and choose options instead of just saying, well, this is it, take it or leave it. I'm assuming if you had better options, you wouldn't have a $1,400 a month plan that was a high deductible, and using your words, crummy. You probably use that money to purchase something better, but you probably didn't have the option. That's one of the things we need to bring back to allow people to get what they need. So I hear you. I am committed to repealing and replacing this law because I want to make sure people have access to quality health care that they can afford. So I